the echo of forbidden love. Amelia had never believed in love at first sight, until she met him. It was an autumn afternoon when she first saw Daniel. She was a young, ambitious woman working as an assistant at a law firm, and he was one of the senior partners. With his salt and pepper hair and quiet confidence, he seemed like the kind of man who could captivate a room with nothing but a glance. But it wasn't just his looks that drew her in, it was the way he spoke, his gentle humor, and his thoughtful nature. At first, it was nothing more than professional. Amelia admired Daniel from a distance, carefully observing him as he navigated the firm with a calm assurance. He had a wife, Charlotte, whom he adored, or so it seemed. He often spoke fondly of her, the love of his life, the woman he'd married young. The small gestures of affection toward Charlotte, the way he'd smile when speaking of her, or the way his eyes softened whenever she entered the room, made it clear that his love for his wife was genuine and unshakable. But slowly, as time passed, Amelia began to notice the cracks in her own heart, the tiny stirrings of desire she couldn't explain. It was a feeling she tried to suppress, a dangerous thought that kept creeping in, what if I could be the one? One evening, after a long week of late-night work, Daniel invited her to stay back and help with some paperwork. As the office emptied out, the two of them sat side by side in the dimly lit conference room, the silence punctuated only by the rustling of papers. Then, as if it was inevitable, their hands brushed. The moment lingered, and for the first time, Amelia felt a crack in her own resolve. His eyes met hers, and for a brief, fleeting second, there was a shared understanding between them. He didn't pull away, and she didn't either. The tension was thick in the air, palpable. "I should go," she whispered, her voice trembling. But Daniel didn't answer right away. He was searching her face, his expression unreadable. When he finally spoke, his voice was low, almost tortured. "You know we can't do this, Amelia." Her heart sank, the reality of his words cutting through the air like a knife. But even though his voice was filled with regret, she couldn't help but feel a flicker of hope. "Why not?" she asked softly, almost pleading. He shook his head slowly, his gaze turning away. "Because I'm married. Because I love my wife. And because I'm not the man I want to be if I hurt her." The words felt like a gentle rebuke, but Amelia could hear the truth in them. The truth was that Daniel loved Charlotte, his wife, and Amelia was nothing more than an uninvited whisper in a marriage that had already been sealed for years. Despite that, Amelia couldn't shake the feelings that had stirred within her. She tried to bury them, to move on, but every glance, every interaction with Daniel left her yearning for something she knew she could never have. She saw him every day, but now it was with a quiet, bittersweet ache in her chest. She had fallen for him, but the love they could never share had already begun to haunt her. As the months passed, Amelia left the firm to pursue her own dreams, though she never truly left Daniel behind. Her heart would always carry the weight of that impossible love, and even as time moved on, it would never quite forget the man she could never call her own.